Welcome to DTF Watch This. These are the episodes where we tell you movies we watched recently that we think you should go check out too. So today we are going to do the Netflix series Man vs. Bee, starring Rowan Atkinson.
Well, I don't know if you're familiar. Did you ever watch Mr. Bean?
I loved Mr. Bean.
Yeah. The fun thing about that is, there's barely any dialogue. It's all
physical comedy.
Physical comedy. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah. And Rowan is amazing. He's like iconic for it too. And still has the chops today. And he's got other movies where he actually talks a lot.
And he looks exactly the same age as he did in like the 80s and 90s.
Yeah. He just doesn't age, but he's always funny still, which is pretty crazy. Man vs. Bee. Let's give a little bit of a synopsis or whatever of the movie. And
it's pretty simple, basically.
It is. Yeah. Basically, Rowan plays a man named Trevor. He's a father, and he's kind of in hard on his luck a little bit. He's looking for a new job. Yes, it did. No hard-ons in this movie, though, or series. No. But he essentially works for a house-sitting company. I kind of took it out as it was like an app. Yeah. That people hire people to come and house sit for them. So he comes to this really wealthy house that has all these crazy paintings in them that are really valuable, statues, and it's a very modern house and all kinds of technology to even just open up cabinets. So they're showing him around how to do all that stuff, and then they leave him at the house, but there's been this bee that's been bothering him since he was at the gate, and it followed him all the way in the house. So it's essentially him trying to get rid of this bee for the entire series.
So that brings up a good point, because I wanted to ask you, you said you had a theory of why it was a series and not a movie. So
when
I'm confused.
I keep calling it a movie. When it was originally coming out, I could have swore they said it was a movie. I saw Rowan talking about the movie a little bit, and when I clicked on it to watch it, I was surprised to find out it's a series chopped up into like 10-minute segments. So 10-minute episodes. My theory is there's two theories. One, the one I originally think is, I don't think they thought people would be interested in watching a movie about somebody trying to swat a bee the entire time. So I think when they watched it, they decided, well, what if we broke it up into a series and just do it in 10-minute chunks? And now people will feel like they're binging something rather than watching a movie about somebody trying to swat a bee the whole time. So it's like a good psychological technique, is what my thought is on why they're doing that.
What's the second theory?
Second theory is they just wanted to kind of pay homage to Mr. Bean and kind of stick with those shorter little segment episodes.
I could go along with the first one a little bit more psychological, where they watch a segment of it, they take a break. If they want to, they can come back to the next episode, and it's, the same premise, but it's not just 90 minutes of a bee.
Yeah, because the movie, or I keep calling the movie, the series, I noticed starts off like pretty much right where the last episode ended. So if you were to just take out the title sequence, which is really short, I think it's an entire movie. And they just said, ooh, we can get the psychological edge of binging by doing 10-minute segments, and we'll actually get people to watch the entire thing, which it worked. It worked for me. I was already kind of set to watch it anyway.
That's like the meme that says, it's got the person on the couch is like, ooh, watch a 12-hour movie? No. Watch 12 one-hour episodes? Yes, in a row.
Yeah, that's kind of like what it is. And I don't hate it for it. I think it's a very smart technique if that's the strategy that they decided to use. But also they kind of go back to the Mr. Bean thing. Those were super short little like segments and episodes.
I don't even think they were a half-hour episode. I don't think. I don't remember. I remember them being really short.
Mr. Bean, they're super short. And just like these ones are super short. Everybody knows Mr. Bean, and they know Rowan in other movies like Rat Race, and he's in other stuff where he talks. But I thought this was a clever way to kind of get the Mr. Bean vibe, to get his physical comedy, but also have him kind of talk. They put him in a situation where he's alone, so you wouldn't really talk to anybody anyway. So it's all the physical comedy there, but then they bring in the heartfelt moments of, you can tell he's a caring father just trying to get himself up and get into a job to go do these little trips with his daughter. He's divorced from his wife, so he's, kind of working his way up and back into her life a bit more.
Yeah, no, it's tough doing the whole no dialogue. It's easier with comedy, but it's tough to have an engaging, entertaining movie or series or whatever, short film, if you don't have dialogue.
Yeah, but he knows how to nail it on every little aspect. Like, you can just see the little quirks. Like, one of my favorite things, and this is very typical of like Mr. Bean, is he's trying to open up these cabinets, and the cabinets are just hand activated. Like, you don't need to touch them. And so he's like putting his hand all over the place. And the only way he can get them to open is he gave up and like put his arm up or something, and then it opened. So now from that point on, anytime he's opened up a cabinet, he either sits down or turns backwards and puts his arm up like this to open it up.
Or along that line, when he's first waving and he keeps waving and waving, and then he looks out and there's the gardener there, and he's like, "Oh, hi, I'm waving at you." Like his facial expressions are so good at portraying awkwardness. And weirdness. Yeah.
I loved it because it felt a little bit like Mr. Bean, but I also loved it because they show a caring father, but then they also show like this crazy guy who's just so like determined to get rid of this bee, but like refuses to basically just slap it. I mean, he tries to slap it, I think, but he goes through all these extreme measures of trying to get rid of this bee, which is what makes it hilarious.
Because he has those moments where he totally could, and then he has a little change of heart at one point. He's like, I can't.
I can't.
Yeah.
And then now let's talk about the bee for a second. That bee is all CG. And it looks amazing.
Yeah.
Like I feel like
realistic.
They nailed the movements of a bee. Even when the bee looks like it's dying and it's like doing that weird little curled up like thing. I'm like, I've seen that looks like a dying bee.
Yeah.
And all the little movements, all the flight patterns, and it has its own little personality itself while maintaining like the realism of what a bee moves.
Yeah.
It works within those parameters, which I was super impressed. And that's another impressive thing is Rowan is acting with nothing there the entire time. He has to pretend there's a bee through the entire show as they're shooting it. So good on him.
And it's easier to do like in Game of Thrones where you're pretending there's a giant dragon right here. If there's a tiny little bee, like that's a lot harder to do, I think.
Yeah, and I just love all the shots. I love all the craziness and stuff that happens. He ends up in the beginning of the episode, they show him in court and they show like quick clips of like all the ridiculous things. Like he at one point has a blowtorch in somebody else's house.
Yeah.
And they show that right in the beginning.
Yeah, but that's logical. I mean, if you've ever had like a mosquito stuck in your room, I would take a blowtorch to my house to get rid of a mosquito.
It's just fascinating how like obsessed he gets with trying to get over the bee. Actually, what it really reminded me of, the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote.
Oh, Wile E. Coyote?
Yeah, like he's Wile E. Coyote because he's going through all these extreme measures to try to kill this bee, just like Wile E. Coyote does all these crazy extreme measures to catch the Roadrunner that are all completely unnecessary.
The Acme anvil, which would have worked.
He didn't paint like a thing on the wall or anything, but he tries to explode the bee. He tries to gas out the bee. He tries all these things.
No, I think overall, I mean, it's cute. It's innocent. You can watch it with your kids, your family. You can watch it as an adult. It's entertaining.
Do you have like a favorite scene?
Honestly, my favorite thing was him coming up with creative ways to recreate the artwork that he was destroying.
Yeah, because he destroys this house in the process. Yeah. Basically, every little thing that he tries to do to kill this bee, like, destroys something in the house. It's just fun. I was actually really surprised at how much I enjoyed it.
But if it had been a movie, you would have hated it. But since it was a series,
honestly, I feel like there is that psychological effect, like really does like make it feel like, just one more.
maybe he'll get it on this one. He'll get it on this one. Yeah.
But also it develops and goes into a direction that I didn't even think it would. So
yeah, the ending was different than what I expected. So
yeah, it was different than what I expected.
Yeah. No, I think it's definitely worth a watch this.
Oh, for sure. Like you said,
hence why we're doing this episode.
Yeah, watch this because we hated it. I don't know. I just loved the comedy aspect, but I think there was a cool part of it too that was unexpected, was just the caring of his caring for his daughter. And there was a human aspect to it, because they could have easily just made it a Mr. Bean episode where it's detached from things and he's just doing goofy things to try to get rid of this bee. But they brought him into reality, and you saw a heartfelt father trying to get himself up and into a better place so he can take care of his daughter or be part of his daughter's life. And I really enjoyed that. And that's why it fits into Dad's Talk Film. And I have a daughter, so maybe that's why it connected with me a little bit more. If you like Looney Tunes and Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner, check it out. It's a real life version of it. So hit up all our social media. Go check us out on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and all that good stuff. Hit the like and subscribe button, and then go ahead and leave a comment about like what your favorite bee killing attempt was in this movie. It's not a movie, in the series. But until next time, we'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Bye, guys.